The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 73. Ichiro was excited when he heard that Charlie would take him back to Japan tomorrow, but then he felt nervous again. He looked at Charlie and asked in a low voice, "Master, how can I convince the public when I return to Japan like this? Everyone thinks that I killed my father, and they all think I'm dead. Suddenly going back, I am afraid it will be difficult to inherit Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." Charlie smiled and said, "Isn't this a trivial matter?" After finishing speaking, he immediately beckoned to Orville. "Mr. Orville, arrange for someone to prepare a video camera and shoot a video of confession for Jiro to let him admit that he poisoned and killed his father, and then offered a huge reward for his brother. Human head in order to achieve the goal of monopolizing Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." When Jiro heard this, he felt as if the sky had fallen, crying, and said, "Master, you can't do this. Didn't you say that if my eldest brother behaves badly, just change me back? You let me now plead guilty, how can I go back in the future?" Charlie said coldly, "What are you afraid of? You brothers will record a video of confessing guilt alone later. If your brother is in charge, you will be in charge. If you are in charge, let your brother be in charge. Is this not perfect?" Both Jiro and Ichiro are full of despair, now that Charlie is really going to die. However, they are also very clear that their current life and death are in Charlie's hands. If they really fight against him, they are likely to suffer a disaster. So the two of them could only nod their heads honestly, and the people arranged by Orville took them to the empty room next door to shoot the video. Charlie called Miking's son Paul at this time and asked him as soon as he came up, "Paul, do you have time in the next few days?" Paul hurriedly said, "Mr. Charlie, what are your orders?" Charlie said, "It's the thing I told you before. You will accompany me to Japan to resolve the issue of the transfer of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals shares and complete the relevant legal procedures." "No problem," Paul said immediately. "When is the specific departure time? I can arrange what I have at hand, and then I can go with you." Charlie said with a smile, "Tomorrow, let's go early and return early." "Okay," Paul said, "then let me book the ticket. Who are you with?" Charlie said casually, "You don't need to book the ticket. I will say hello to Isaac and let him arrange a private jet." "It okay then?" Then Charlie hung up the phone and called Isaac again. After all, the Wade family has a big business. In Oris Hill, there is a private jet specially assigned to Isaac for daily use. When Isaac heard that Charlie was going to Japan, he immediately arranged for the crew of the private jet to apply for the route and departure time. At the same time, he said to Charlie, "Master, you are going to Japan this time, and you are not familiar with the place. So, I will go with you. I have some friendships with many Japanese companies and families. In case of any need, it can also be convenient for you." Since returning from killing the 8 great heavenly kings in Chenbai Mountain, Isaac has followed Charlie with all his heart, and regarded him as the only master in his heart, and Charlie can also see that this person is now 100% credible and is completely under his control. Since he wanted to follow, he had no objection. So Charlie said to him, "Let's do it, you arrange the plane, and then arrange 2 or 3 capable subordinates, and then go there together. With that said, Charlie glanced at Orville and asked him, "Mr. Orville, have you been okay in the last few days? If it's okay, come with me to Japan." Mr. Orville nodded immediately and said, "No problem, Master. Orville will listen to your instructions." Charlie nodded in satisfaction, and said to Isaac, "Old man, Mr. Orville is with us, Paul from Smith Law Firm, and Ichiro from the Kobayashi family. Please let the crew prepare." "Okay, Master. I'll make arrangements." At this time, the brothers Ichiro and Jiro also recorded their own back-to-back videos. Later, the two were brought back by Orville's men. Charlie looked at the two and said lightly, "Ichiro, you have a good rest today. Tomorrow Mr. Orville will take you to the airport, but I will warn you in advance. Please be careful along the way. Don't think that coming to Japan is like back at your home court. If you dare to have any disobedience, I will definitely not spare you." Ichiro nodded like garlic. "Mr. Charlie, don't worry, I will die, but I won't disobey you." Charlie gave a hum, then looked at Jiro, and said lightly, "Jiro, you just stay here. Mr. Orville's men will make you eat and drink well. Apart from work, you will have the rest. You can pray for a while, and pray that something will happen to your eldest brother, so that you have a chance to return to Japan." Hearing this, Ichiro waved his hands in fright. "Mr. Charlie, you don't need to worry about anything, I will never cause anything. Jiro will never have the chance to leave this kennel in this life." Jiro gritted his teeth angrily. However, now that Ichiro became Charlie's first choice, he could only honestly be a spare tire. What is a spare tire? If there are no problems with the tires being used, no air leaks, and no punctures, the spare tire will never have the opportunity to be employed. Thinking of this, the hatred in his heart for his eldest brother is even deeper. If it weren't for so many people here, he would have liked to rush up now and strangle this big brother to death with his arm. Seeing that the brothers were hostile and jealous of each other, Charlie was very satisfied. What he wants is such an effect, allowing them to deter and check and balance each other. In this way, none of them dare to make trouble with him, and can only honestly let themselves be at his mercy and be his puppets. Thinking of this, Charlie stood up and said to Orville, "Mr. Orville, starting from tomorrow, we will strengthen the guard of the kennel. We must take care of Jiro, and he's not allowed to go on business trips." Mr. Orville immediately nodded and said, "Master, you can rest assured that there are more than 20 guards here, and dozens of the most ferocious purebred hounds. One bite of a dog and Jiro's small body is gone. Tomorrow I will transfer 10 more subordinates to come and surround this place into an iron bucket. There will never be any business trips." Charlie smiled and said, "Okay, your style of doing things has become more and more appetizing to me, but you should also pay attention to it. If he is disobedient and you really let the dog bite, don't let the dog bite him to death. It's a good thing to keep him alive." Orville looked at Jiro and smiled sullenly. "If this kid dares to run, I will let my snow mastiff bite his stuff first." Kobayashi Pharmaceutical has multiple production bases in Japan. Its headquarters is located in Tokyo. In addition to Tokyo, there are also production lines in several cities such as Yokohama, Osaka, and Nagoya. In addition, some time ago, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical also invested a large amount of funds to establish Asia's largest biopharmaceutical production base in Osaka. When Charlie went to Japan this time, in addition to finalizing the share transfer agreement with Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals and completing the share transfer, he also brought Liang from Ways Pharmaceuticals to inspect these production bases. Liang is now the general manager of JX Pharmaceutical and the specific person in charge of the company. After Charlie takes over Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, he will be in charge of the entire production line of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical for the time being. In the future, if the time is right, Stephen can come over to take over Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, and then let Liang concentrate on the country, and continue to expand the scale of JX Pharmaceutical in China. Therefore, Charlie and Isaac made an itinerary plan. They will fly from Oris Hill to Tokyo tomorrow morning. Isaac will contact his men in Tokyo to respond to them locally, and arrange for a team to accompany them throughout the journey. After getting things done in Tokyo, they will drive from Tokyo and head west to Yokohama. Yokohama is near Tokyo, not too far away, and it is less than 100 kilometers by car. Then, drive from Yokohama to Nagoya and finally to Osaka. After the inspection in Osaka, they can fly back to Oris Hill directly from Osaka. The reason why they have to drive around these cities is mainly because Japan has a relatively small land area. In fact, these cities are not far apart. From Tokyo all the way to Osaka, it is more than 500 kilometers away. It takes less than an hour to arrive by plane. What's more, you have to go to the two cities of Yokohama and Nagoya in the middle. Instead, taking a plane is far less convenient than driving. Charlie studied the map of Japan and found a small detail. The highway from Nagoya to Osaka in Japan happened to pass through Kyoto. Nanako, who was seriously injured, was resting in Kyoto. Charlie couldn't help but think, I must go to Kyoto to see her. At the dinner table, Charlie told the family directly that he was going to Japan tomorrow. When they heard that Charlie was leaving tomorrow, Claire said with a bit of dismay, "You just came back today, and will leave tomorrow. You haven't even stayed for 24 hours. Yet." Jacob couldn't help but muttered, "Good son-in-law, making money is important, but your body is more important. You keep running back and forth like this, and this body can't stand it either." Elaine was a little excited and said, "Oh, what do you know? You have never been successful since you got married, and you have no motivation at all. That's why our family has been looked down upon you, especially by the old lady, and we have never had a good life." After that, she looked at Charlie with a flattering expression, and complimented, "Look at our family, Charlie, how ambitious. Don't know how many times stronger than you." Jacob snorted, "Are you a human again? You used to chase people, and Charlie said that they were useless. Isn't it you? You used to chase your daughter and asked her to divorce Charlie?" Elaine's expression was a little unnatural, and she said anxiously, "Jacob, you don't instigate discord here. I was wrong before, but I can correct it if I know the mistake." After speaking, he hurriedly said to Charlie with a smile, "Good son-in-law, for how many days are you going to go to Japan this time?" Charlie said, "If it's fast, it's 3 to 5 days, if it's slow, it's a week." Claire couldn't help muttering, "Hey? So long?" Charlie smiled and said, isn't this going to a foreign country? I'm not familiar with the place. It's definitely not as convenient as doing things in China. If you really want to help others change feng shui, those raw materials are probably not available. It is so easy in China, so the time period may be extended. Claire felt a little stunned. In the past few days when Charlie went to Eastcliff, she thought about him falling asleep every night. Now she finally looked forward to him coming back. She didn't expect him to leave again, and it would last for several days. Elaine couldn't help asking at this moment, "Good son-in-law, you go to Japan to show others feng shui this time, how much would they give you?" Charlie replied casually, 2 or 3 million. Oh! So much! Elaine clapped her hands happily, then gave a thumbs up and complimented, "My son-in-law is amazing. You can make 2 or 3 million by just watching feng shui." After finishing speaking, she quickly said with a smile, "Good son-in-law, I heard that Japanese cosmetics, skincare products, etc., the quality and efficacy are good. Don't forget to buy some gifts for Mom when you come back." "Okay." Jacob couldn't see it anymore, and blurted out, "Elaine, are you endless? Charlie has bought you a lot of Hermes, and you still ask for gifts? You are not greedy enough. You need to take care of it." Elaine gave Jacob a white look, and said angrily, "I'm asking about what I want, not what you want. What are you doing here? Who didn't mention the pants and gave you exposed?" When Jacob heard this, his angry cheeks flushed and his whole body trembled. "I didn't mention my pants to show myself? Doesn't this compare me to that thing? This lady's broken mouth is too bad. I really want to smoke her with a big mouth." However, Jacob only dared to think about it in his heart. If he really started with Elaine, then he would be annoying. So he immediately looked at Claire and complained, "Claire, look at your mother, it's really a dog that can't spit out ivory. What kind of quality is this?" Claire couldn't listen anymore, and couldn't help but said, "Mom, you can't be more civilized." "Good, good." Elaine waved her hand indifferently, "I am a little more civilized, and I don't have a general knowledge of this old thing." Charlie, who was on the side, shook his head and smiled, but he didn't even think about it. He was used to the bickering between the two for a long time now. If the two of them didn't fight each other someday, they would have something wrong. After dinner, Charlie and Claire returned to the bedroom on the second floor. As usual, the couple took a shower one after the other, and then lay on the B3D one after another. Charlie hasn't gone further with Claire since he was promoted to the first level before the fight, but he hasn't been too anxious, not to mention that there have been a lot of things recently, and he has always been troubled by the presence of other women. Thinking of going to Japan tomorrow, Nanako's face and how she looked when she was injured in the ring suddenly appeared in his mind. Charlie didn't understand why he would never forget the woman Nanako. It seems that he is attracted by her dual character, which is gentle as water and tough and unyielding. While thinking wildly, Charlie suddenly felt that Claire next to him moved. He thought that Claire was just turning over normally, but he didn't expect that she would lift a corner of Charlie's quilt and get into H's bed. Claire G0T into Charlie's bed and gently HUGG3D his WAST. At this moment, she felt an unprecedented sense of security. Having been with Charlie for so long, this is the first time to hold him like this. Although she feels full of security, her heart is still short of breath. Charlie, who had been thinking about things, was startled by Claire's actions. When he turned his face, Claire was also taken aback by him. Claire's pretty face suddenly became hot, and she stammered, "Husband, you haven't slept yet?" Charlie also explained in a flustered manner, "I slept, woke up again." After speaking, he couldn't help asking, "Wife, why did you run into my B3D?" Claire said in embarrassment, that, I am. Claire stammered and murmured for a long time, before she simply turned her mind and said, "I just don't want you to go out again, so I want to hug you to SL3EP, okay?" When Charlie heard this, he felt a little throbbing in his heart. He stretched out his hand to put her in his arms and whispered softly, "Silly girl, I will be back in a few days." "Yet." Claire gently leaned in Charlie's arms and said with a smile, "I found that holding you to sleep like this is really safe." Charlie smiled and said, "Will I be able to get another level up from now on? How about we just sleep in a B3D from now on?" Claire was immediately embarrassed and said in a low voice, "It's not impossible to upgrade to one level, but for the time being, you can only upgrade to one level." Following Charlie's previous routine, he must ask Claire at this time, when will he be able to reach the full level? When can he have a baby? After all, even Elaine supported the two of them to have a baby quickly. Perhaps, if he satisfactorily, he would be able to get things done for the couple. However, because in his mind unconsciously appeared Nanako's figure, which made him feel a little uncomfortable. That feeling, like a thorn stuck in Charlie's heart, instantly made him calm down a lot. So, he gently hugged Claire, and said softly, "It's okay, I will be promoted to the next level, and it will be fine to SL3EP with you." Now, it was Claire's turn to be surprised. She also thought that Charlie would definitely come to make some soft and hard bubbles. However, she never expected that Charlie would accept it so easily. This made her heart linger for a while. In fact, she has had deep feelings and dependence on Charlie after getting along for so long. However, after all, she was an unmanned girl, and she was somewhat hesitant and worried about breaking through that layer of relationship. If Charlie was very active, she might just let him go. But Charlie's sudden calmness really made her unexpected. She wanted to ask him, why did he act so indifferently today? Is it because he doesn't like her? However, she soon felt that it was really hard for her to speak such words, so she could only hide them deep in her heart. Soon, Charlie by her side let out a uniform breathing sound. Claire sighed in her heart, and fell asleep slowly with a bit of loss. Charlie woke up early the next morning. In fact, he didn't sleep well this night. Don't know why, as long as he closed his eyes, he couldn't help but think of Nanako. During this period of time, there have been many women around Charlie. Whether it was Warnya, Aoxu, or Zhovia, Ziofen, and Sarah, although these women more or less made him feel a little heart-stirring, none of them made him feel distressed like Nanako. After Sarah waited for so many years and found him after so many years, Charlie was indeed very guilty, but Sarah was born into a big family and was loved by her parents in every possible way. After adulthood, she became an internationally renowned star, and was sought after and loved by countless people. Even without him, her life is very wonderful, very rich, and very happy. But Nanako is different. Although she was also born in a rich family and was loved by her family, she was indeed injured too badly in the fight with Aoxu. Suffering such a serious injury, the double blow to the body and spirit is absolutely impossible for an ordinary girl to experience in her lifetime. Moreover, Charlie can also imagine that although she is out of danger now, she must be tortured by injuries all the time. This feeling must be very painful. And she could not have played this game. However, she did everything to make him admire. Even in the last match against Aoxu, she waited for a chance to win with one move in order to make him notice her, even if she was injured. Charlie knew very well that if it wasn't for him, how could that silly girl be injured so badly? It is precisely because of this that he always feels distressed for how she looked when she was injured. Charlie also reflected on that, as a married man, he should not feel sorry for other women, let alone her. However, that kind of mood is completely beyond his control. After washing, Charlie quietly left the bedroom without waking Claire, who was still asleep. At this time, Isaac had taken his entourage and waited at the door of Thompson. Charlie went downstairs and saw that Jacob and Elaine hadn't gotten up, so he left a note, and then hurried out of the house. At the door of Thompson, several Rolls-Royce cars parked side by side. As soon as Charlie came out, Isaac and his men all got out of the car, bowed respectfully to him, and said in unison, "Master." Charlie nodded and got into the same car with Isaac. As soon as he got on, Isaac immediately said to Charlie, "Master Paul and Liang are all going by themselves." Mr. Orville and Ichiro walked past the kennel. "We only need to meet them at the airport. The plane and the crew personnel are all ready, and they will leave at any time after we arrive." Charlie said, "The biggest difference between private jets and ordinary civil aviation flights is that the time is relatively free. As long as you apply for today's flight route, you can theoretically depart at any time. There is an idea in his subconscious mind now, that is to go to Tokyo to get things done, and then rush all the way to Kyoto. Don't know why, Nanako has become a curse in his heart, always emerging and constantly affecting his emotions." He felt that this might be mainly because he felt a bit of sympathy for Nanako's experience, and if he cured her by himself, this demon would naturally be eliminated. As a result, he said to Isaac a little impatiently, "Okay, time is waiting for no one, hurry up." Oris Hill Airport. The plane arranged by Isaac has been waiting in the hangar for a long time. Orville had already arrived with Ichiro, and was waiting under the plane. Liang and Paul also arrived early, waiting for Charlie's arrival. 9 o'clock in the morning. Isaac's motorcade drove to the hangar one after another. He immediately got out of the car and personally opened the door for Charlie. After Charlie got out of the car, everyone came forward to greet him. Charlie nodded slightly, and said to everyone, "Are all the people here? If they are all there, then get on the plane now." Isaac counted, and respectfully said to Charlie, "Mr. Charlie, it's all here." "Okay, let's go." In addition to Isaac, Orville, Liang, Paul, and Ichiro, who accompanied Charlie, there were also some 12 people under Mr. Orville and Isaac following them along. After everyone boarded the plane, the crew immediately started the engine of the plane, pushed the plane out of the hangar, and then contacted the tower to jump in and take off. The plane jumped into the air and flew eastward. During the flight, Ichiro was restless and looked very nervous. He plucked up the courage, came to Charlie's side, and asked respectfully, "Master, what if other members of the family are unwilling to accept me, and even think that I am the murderer of my father and refuse to let me inherit Kobayashi Pharmaceutical?" Charlie said lightly, "I have a video of Jiro's confession in my hand, and I will show it to them in time." Ichiro asked again, "Then what if they still don't believe it?" Charlie smiled contemptuously, "Don't believe it? Just go through the legal process if they don't believe it. They said that you killed your father. Can they show tangible evidence? If they can't show it, it proves that you were not the murderer of your father. What can they do with you?" After that, Charlie said again, "Besides, your brother has disappeared now, and you are the only heir to your father's estate. If the other members of your family do not agree with you, then all of them will be driven out of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical and let them fend for themselves." Ichiro said with a little emboldened expression, "Master, let's not tell you that, on the board of directors of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals, there are my uncles and family elders. Although they have no actual shares, they have certain shares. From the pharmacy, they take a lot of dividends, and they all hold some more important positions. If this group of people works against me, it's really not that easy to deal with." Charlie said indifferently, "These are not problems. At that time, we will give them two ways. The first is to cooperate honestly. As long as they are obedient, the dividends that should be given to them will still be given to them, but if they don't toast, there is only a second way to eat, drink, and fine. When that happens, there will be no one left, all of them will be gone. Everyone will be transferred after the earth is gone. These important positions can also be rebuilt with a new management team." After that, Charlie pointed to Liang and said to Ichiro, "It's really not possible. I will split a part of the management team of JX Pharmaceuticals and take over the management. Then you will stay in Japan and enjoy the life of a drunken fan. Just do it, don't worry about anything else." Ichiro knew very well that after he successfully transferred 90% of the shares to Charlie, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical has nothing to do with him. What he can do is to honestly take the dividends given by Charlie and live a life of drunken dreams of ordinary rich people. Thinking about it carefully, Ichiro felt a little guilty in his heart. Because in this way, it was equivalent to selling out his father's life's hard work. There is an old Chinese saying that it is not distressing to ask the cubs to sell Yeshin, but this old saying is a prodigal. Although Ichiro is not very capable, he really cannot be regarded as a prodigal. If he were a prodigal son, he would not have come to China to participate in the traditional medicine expo, let alone covet Tiankai's magical medicine. He wanted to get the magic medicine formula, but he also wanted to revitalize Kobayashi Pharmaceutical and let the company stand on the top of the world. After all, he also has a leading family to flourish. But now, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical will soon be ruined in his hands. Although Ichiro was very melancholic, but after thinking about it, he felt that this might not be a bad thing. After all, he also knows how popular JX Vicin is now. Judging from the powerful medicinal effects of JX Vicin, it will definitely become a best-selling medicine in the world in the future. As for Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, if it is not included by Charlie, it will definitely go downhill in the future. If Kobayashi Pharmaceutical makes all-out efforts to produce JX Vicin after the change of ownership, it will surely create huge wealth around the world. By that time, his 10% shares may allocate more money. Thinking of this, Ichiro felt much more relaxed. More than 2 hours later, Charlie's plane landed at Tokyo Airport. After completing the immigration formalities, everyone came out of the airport, and the men arranged by Isaac were already waiting outside the airport. Isaac arranged for these men to drive all Rolls-Royces. In Japan, Rolls-Royce is even more rare than in China. This is mainly because most Japanese people choose cars from local Japanese brands, which are cheap and affordable. Imported cars such as Mercedes, BMW, and even Rolls-Royce have a very low percentage of appearances on the streets of Japan, so this fleet of Rolls-Royce is also very eye-catching at the airport. Isaac personally opened the door of one of the Rolls-Royce cars for Charlie. After Charlie got in the car, he went to the other side to get on the car and asked Charlie, "Master, where shall we go first?" Charlie said, "Go directly to the headquarters of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." Isaac said, "Master, I have investigated the situation of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited before. To be honest, their family is still very complicated, and you rashly brought Ichiro over. I am afraid it will be difficult to convince the public." Charlie smiled slightly, and said indifferently, "The more complicated, the more quickly I have to cut the mess. I'm here to make money, not to make friends with them. Could it be that I have to take all the mess of the Kobayashi family one by one? Is it smooth?" Isaac said with some worry, "Master, after all, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical is a large group worth more than 100 billion. The collateral members of their family will look at Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Now in their eyes, Ichiro is dead. Jiro has also disappeared, so it is a good opportunity to embezzle Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Maybe they have already started to divide the company internally. We risk to harvest them, it will cause strong resistance." Charlie smiled calmly. From a legal point of view, no one can stop Ichiro from taking back Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. If other people in the Kobayashi family are not convinced and want to make some small actions, then I will take this opportunity to take the rest of the Kobayashi family. Clean up the collateral members. At this time, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical's Tokyo headquarters is preparing to hold an emergency shareholders meeting. During this time, the chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited, that is, Jiro, disappeared suddenly after he left for China, and the entire Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Group was headless. In the beginning, the shareholders were still trying every means to find the whereabouts of Jiro. But they did a lot of hard work and tried, and they did not find Jiro. After that, they immediately contacted Ito Takehiko, the leader of the Ito family. "I contacted Ito Yuhiko because the shareholders of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals know that Ito Yuhiko is very optimistic about Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals and Jiro, and hopes to recruit Jiro as his son-in-law, and then buy shares in Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals. And the reason why Jiro went to China, in the final analysis, was to pursue Ito Yuhiko's daughter, Nanako. As a result, Nanako returned, but her follower Jiro evaporated from the world, which made the Kobayashi family members even hard to understand. Ito Yuhiko is also very concerned about this matter. After all, he is very optimistic about Jiro and Kobayashi Pharmaceutical too. If Jiro disappears, he will naturally not be his son-in-law. Moreover, JX Bison is currently insufficient in production capacity and has not been exported to overseas markets. Therefore, local Japanese consumers know nothing about this magic medicine. They still regard Kobayashi Bison as the best in stomach medicine. Kobayashi Bison is in the Japanese market. Sales have not received any impact. Therefore, in Ito's view, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical's future prospects are still bright. In order not to miss the opportunity to invest in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, Ito Yuhiko also sent many people to search for Jiro's whereabouts. But it is a pity that they don't have a strong intelligence network in China, and they can't get any information about Jiro at all. As a result, Jiro seemed to have completely disappeared in the eyes of the Kobayashi family and Ito Yuhiko. Over time, Ito Yuhiko took the lead in giving up the search for Jiro. He felt that instead of looking for Jiro, it would be better to quickly let the Kobayashi family choose a new president, and then go to work with the new president by himself. Subsequently, under the operation of Ito Takehiko, the Kobayashi family also gave up. After the Kobayashi family gave up looking for Jiro, they began to enter the next stage, preparing to reform Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, and redivide the cake of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Kobayashi Pharmaceutical was developed by Ichiro's father, Masao Kobayashi, in decades. Although many members of the Kobayashi family are involved, they do not directly own the shares of the company. After the death of Masao Kobayashi, Ichiro was labeled as a father killer, and Jiro naturally became the sole heir of industry. However, now Jiro is also missing. According to Japanese law, if Jiro's whereabouts remain unknown within a certain period of time, it can be determined from the legal level that the person is dead and his relatives have the right to inherit all his property. In that way, all the shares of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical will become a Chinese meal for the collateral relatives of the Kobayashi family. Ichiro's pro-uncle, Masayoshi Kobayashi, has now temporarily succeeded as the acting chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited, and exercises management power instead of Jiro. Ito Yuhiko, who has been coveting Kobayashi Pharmaceutical shares, immediately focused his attention on Kobayashi Masayoshi. At this time, he called Masayoshi Kobayashi directly, and as soon as he came up he said, "Mr. Kobayashi, congratulations on your seat as the acting president." Kobayashi Masayoshi respectfully said, "Mr. Ito, thank you for your kind wishes. My acting chairmanship is only a temporary act. When my nephew Jiro returns, I will still give him this position." Ito Yuhiko sneered and said, "I guess Jiro will not be back. You, the acting president, will soon become the official president." Masayoshi Kobayashi was secretly happy in his heart, but still said very honestly, "Mr. Ito, to tell you, I still think about it day and night. I hope Jiro can return safely." Ito Yuhiko smiled and said, "Mr. Kobayashi, I am calling, not to be polite to you, but to have a business to cooperate with you." Masayoshi Kobayashi hurriedly said, "Mr. Ito, please speak." Ito said in a serious tone, I have always been very optimistic about Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals' prospects. You should know this. Yes. Kobayashi Masayoshi respectfully said, I've heard about this a long time ago. Thank you for your interest in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Ito Yuhiko said again, I have always wanted to buy a stake in Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals. I have had a deep conversation with Jiro before, but it is a pity that he suddenly evaporated, so I can only come and continue this matter with you now. Masayoshi Kobayashi hurriedly said, This is okay, but don't know how you want to advance, Mr. Ito? Ito Yuhiko said, I want to make a deal with your company and make 2 deals with you personally. Kobayashi Masayoshi said, Please speak. Ito Takehiko said, The transaction with Kobayashi Pharmaceutical is an agreement that I intend to take a 30% stake at a valuation of $15 billion. Kobayashi Masayoshi said embarrassingly, Mr. Ito, the current value of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical is probably more than $20 billion, and your price is $15 billion, which is really a bit less. Ito Yuhiko said lightly, Don't worry, I will discuss 2 deals with you next. As he said, Ito Yuhiko said again, the first one, as long as you can make me buy Kobayashi Pharmaceutical at a valuation of $15 billion, then I will privately give you $200 million in cash. The second pen, as long as you help me make this happen, I will not only give you $200 million in cash, but also consolidate your position in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. I can assure you at that time whether Jiro will come back or not. You can sit firmly as the chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited. Although the Ito family is the top family in Japan, it does not mean that Ito is a generous person. He has always wanted to buy shares in Kobayashi's, to make a fortune with its medicine line, and he has always wanted to keep the price of shares as low as possible. If it is a valuation of more than $20 billion, if he wants to invest 30% of the shares, he has to pay at least $6 to $7 billion in cash. However, if the valuation can be reduced to $15 billion, which is also a 30% shareholding, it will only need to pay $4.5 billion, which can save more than $1 or $2 billion. When Kobayashi Masayoshi heard this, the first thought in his mind was that he didn't want to make such a big hole for Ito. After all, this was a price difference of more than $2 billion, and the amount was huge. However, when he thought that he could return cash to him privately and ensure that he would sit firmly as the president without any interference, he was vaguely moved. After thinking about it, he opened his mouth and said, Mr. Ito, since you have said so well, then I will not hide it with you. If you can privately return me $500 million, then you can ensure that I sit firmly in the chairmanship. Then when I have a meeting, I will try my best to promote the Ito family's stake in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited Meeting Room. A large group of collateral members of the Kobayashi family and corporate executives are all sitting in distress at this time. Recently, there have been incidents in the group one after another, making everyone present a little nervous. First, the old president died tragically by poisoning, and then the young master was suspected of killing his biological father by poison. However, nervousness turned nervousness, and everyone was still full of expectations for the future. Because they have not been able to deeply participate in the operation of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals before, let alone deeply intervene and enjoy the profit distribution of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals, they have always only got some petty profits. It's different now. Now, Masayoshi Kobayashi has become the acting president. He has promised everyone that he will release at least 40% of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals' profits. If it can be realized, everyone in the room will have an annual income more than 10 times. At this moment, Kobayashi Masayoshi walked into the meeting room with full momentum. Everyone turned their attention to him. In everyone's eyes, he is now the god of wealth for everyone. After entering the door, Masayoshi Kobayashi went straight to the chair of the conference room, and the others stood up respectfully to pay their respects. At this time, without knowing who it was, he said flatteringly, "Welcome the president." Everyone returned to their senses and hurriedly said in unison, "Welcome to the president." After all, warm applause also sounded. Masayoshi Kobayashi felt very comfortable in his heart, and said with a smile, "Don't scream about titles. I'm still the president of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. If it is passed on, outsiders will gossip." The person who was the first to flatter hurriedly said, "President, in our minds, you are the official president of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." Kobayashi Masayoshi smiled triumphantly, and then put on a just and awe-inspiring look, and said seriously, "I personally hope that Mr. Jiro can return to Kobayashi Pharmaceutical and take control of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical's overall situation as soon as possible. Before he comes back, I am only temporarily sitting in this position to manage the business for him." After that, he raised his hands and motioned everyone to sit down. After everyone sat down, he said seriously, "Everyone knows that Kobayashi Pharmaceutical can be said to have internal and external troubles. I heard some time ago that a Chinese company called JX Pharmaceutical has launched a Vicin. This medicine is said to be much more effective than our Kobayashi's Vicin, but because the company's production capacity is relatively limited, it has not yet been exported to our market." One of them hurriedly said, "My lord, I am going to report this to you. My son-in-law went to China last week and heard about this medicine, so he bought a box of it at a higher price. I tried it yesterday. After a while, I have to say that this medicine is more than a little bit stronger than our Kobayashi Vicin." Kobayashi Masayoshi said, "If this is the case, then JX Pharmaceutical will very likely become our next mortal enemy." After a pause, Kobayashi Masayoshi continued, "Moreover, our medicine is not as effective as it. If this continues, their output will continue to increase, and our sales will continue to decline. If Kobayashi's Vicin is in the global market, JX Vicin will eat, then our revenue will lose most of it." Everyone's expressions were stunned. Kobayashi's Vicin is the flagship product of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, and most of its revenue and profits are supported by this medicine. If it is really beaten by JX Vicin, then Kobayashi Pharmaceutical's vitality will definitely be greatly injured. So someone asked Masayoshi Kobayashi, "President, we can't just wait and die like this. Do you have any good solutions?" Kobayashi Masayoshi said, "There is also a way to deal with it, that is, we must increase investment in drug research and development, and we must quickly upgrade our current products. If our Kobayashi Bison can surpass JX in terms of efficacy, stomach market must still be ours. The person in charge of R&D opened the mouth and said, "My lord, if you want to increase investment in R&D, you need a huge budget. The company was sacked of a lot of money some time ago. Can it still afford it now?" Masayoshi Kobayashi said smoothly, "This is what I'm about to tell you. Our current cash flow is not very good. The investment in the production base in Osaka costs a lot, coupled with the previous accidental losses, which leads us to get it now. The funds invested in research and development are already less than $50 million, so my idea is to raise a fund as soon as possible, with at least $1 billion to upgrade our drug R&D laboratory." When everyone heard that they were going to raise funds, they all sat up straight. Some people asked, "My lord, do you have a suitable financing partner?" Masayoshi Kobayashi nodded and said, "Before, Chairman Jiro had been negotiating with Mr. Yuhiko Ito, the patriarch of the Ito family, about financing. Surely everyone knows about this?" Everyone nodded. Jiro has always wanted to take Ito's investment, and even wanted to become Ito's son-in-law, otherwise he would not spend money to name Nanako in the Sanda competition, which has long been known by Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Everyone is ready for the marriage between Kobayashi Pharmaceutical and the Ito family. Unfortunately, Jiro disappeared before the marriage was officially advanced. Everyone thought that the cooperation with the Ito family would be terminated, but they did not expect that Masayoshi Kobayashi would now start cooperation with the Ito family. As a result, everyone immediately became interested and asked excitedly, "Sir, don't know what kind of valuation the Ito family can give us?" Masayoshi Kobayashi cleared his throat and said, "Mr. Yuhiko Ito of the Ito family is willing to invest $4.5 billion in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical at a valuation of $15 billion, which will account for 30% of Kobayashi's total shares after the investment. Valued at $15 billion. Everyone couldn't help but talk. In the beginning, Jiro and Ito Yuhiko talked about it, but it was not the price. At that time, Jiro greeted everyone, and his valuation figure was at least $20 billion. Why is it suddenly lowered so much now? Someone questioned, "Mr. President, the Ito family's previous offer was not so low, why did it shrink so much?" Someone said, "Yet. At least $22 billion is appropriate. A valuation of $15 billion is nothing short of robbery." Kobayashi Masayoshi's expression was a bit ugly, and he said, "You have to figure out that we are facing internal and external troubles. It is not just that the president has disappeared for no reason. Another Bison has appeared in China. If we don't hurry up and raise funds at this time, if we wait for JX Bison to catch us by surprise, then our performance will drop significantly, let alone a valuation of $15 billion, even if it is $10 billion, it is impossible to get it." In fact, what Kobayashi said is true. There is a certain information gap between Yuhiko Ito and him. At this time, Ito Yuhiko thought that Kobayashi's stomach med was invincible. At this time, grabbing Kobayashi Pharmaceutical was equivalent to grabbing a profitable train. However, Masayoshi Kobayashi and other members of the Kobayashi family now know about the existence of JX Pharmaceutical. Knowing that at this moment, in China and in Oris Hill, there is a vicin that is popular in China. The efficacy of this vicin is much stronger than that of Kobayashi vicin. Therefore, when Kobayashi Masayoshi expressed his concerns, others changed their minds almost immediately. Just now they thought that Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals must have a valuation of at least 20 billion, and $15 billion is absolutely impossible to accept. But now they suddenly realized that there are still people willing to offer a valuation of $15 billion, which is already very rare. If JX vicin successfully crosses Japan eastward, the valuation of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical will be greatly reduced. As a result, everyone together almost immediately supported Kobayashi Masayoshi's decision one-sidedly. Kobayashi was very excited. As long as the agreement is signed with the ITO family, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical will immediately receive a capital injection of $4.5 billion, and he will also receive $500 million in remuneration. In this way, he suddenly became a super rich man. As for Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, even if it will go bankrupt in the future, it has nothing to do with him. $500 million is almost equivalent to more than 50 billion yen, which is enough for him to live a life in style. So, he immediately notified Ito Yuahiko to go to Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, strike the iron while it was hot, and sign the contract on the spot. After hearing this news, Ito Yuahiko was very excited. He felt that he had bought Kobayashi Pharmaceutical at a low price and could earn at least 3 or 4 times more in the future, so he almost immediately took his assistants and lawyers and went straight to Kobayashi Pharmaceutical without stopping. Because the two companies are both located near Ginza, Tokyo, and both are located in Tokyo's most prosperous commercial area, the distance is not too far, only 10 minutes away by car. Kobayashi Masayoshi was overjoyed and said to everyone in the family, "Mr. Yuhiko Ito will come over and sign a contract with us." After the contract is signed, $4.5 billion will be paid to our account. In this way, we will have enough money to deal with the next impact of JX Pharmaceutical on us. Everyone immediately beamed with joy. The US $4.5 billion is indeed an astronomical figure. With so much money, even if Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals loses the US $100 million each year, it is enough to last for 45 years. In this case, these senior executives can stay in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited. Even if Kobayashi Pharmaceutical suffers a huge impact, the money on the books will enable them to live well with food for many years. At this moment, Takehiko Ito walked out of the luxurious office building of the Ito family with high spirits and got into his Lexus car. Following him were his 2 bodyguards and an assistant, and this assistant was Koichi Tanaka, who had followed Nanako before. Koichi Tanaka was originally Ito Yuhiko's confidant. Some time ago, the reason why he let him go to China to participate in the competition with Nanako was because he was not at ease, so he let the person he trusted the most to accompany her all the way. Now, Nanako is recuperating in Kyoto, and Hiroshi Tanaka went to China to seek medicine for her a few days ago, but there was no progress, so he returned to Tokyo to return to life with Takehiko Ito, and then stayed in Tokyo. In addition to the Lexus extension sedan Ito took, there were 10 bodyguards, divided into two Lexus off-road vehicles, one after the other protecting Ito Yuhako's car. The three vehicles formed a convoy and drove to Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. In the car, Ito Yuhako looked very excited. He analyzed the financial reports and market sales of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals in the past 2 years and felt that the future of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals is very broad. It is definitely the best time to invest in shares now. Therefore, in his view, the $4.5 billion investment in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical is like planting a large piece of gold in a magical land, and the future harvest will be at least $15 billion. $15 billion, converted to Japanese yen, more than 150 billion, converted to RMB, more than 100 billion. No one can hold back the excitement of such a large amount of wealth. While he was excited, Ito could not help but sigh, and said with emotion, "Don't know what happened to Jiro. What a great living person, how can I say that he disappeared?" Koichi Tanaka also couldn't figure it out, and said, before the young lady participated in the finals, Jiro also came to visit him, saying that he must go to see the young lady's competition, and look forward to awarding the young lady after the final. But on the day of the final, Jiro did not appear at the competition. Originally, he was still the guest of the final, but because he was absent for no reason, the organizer temporarily invited other people to present the award. I have always felt that this matter is a bit inexplicable. It stands to reason that Jiro's thoughts about the eldest lady are absolutely impossible for him to miss the final. Ito Yuhako sighed, "I wanted to get him to be son-in-law, but I didn't expect him to disappear." After speaking, he said with a bit of melancholy on his face, "Nanako's physical condition is not very good now. Don't know when and how long will it be to return to the original." Hiroshi Tanaka hurriedly said, "President, I have asked someone to help contact an American expert, and see if I can ask him to come over and give the lady a consultation." "Yet." Ito nodded earnestly, "Be sure to bring in the best experts in the world, no matter how much money is spent, you will not hesitate." Koichi Tanaka asked again, "President, what about Mr. Yamamoto Kazuki? The doctors in Tokyo are also helpless about the injury. Would you like to ask an expert from the United States to come and see?" Ito Yuhiko waved his hand in disgust, "Forget it, it's a waste, it's not worth putting too much energy into him. If he is really capable, Nanako won't be hurt so badly." Hiroshi Tanaka said in a hurry, "Mr. President, in fact, Mr. Yamamoto can't be blamed for this matter. The main reason is that the coach of the opponent's side was formidable." "Formidable?" Ito snorted and said disdainfully, "Tanaka, you may have some misunderstanding of the word formidable. I tell you that the truly powerful is not karate at all, but our Japanese ninjutsu and onmyoji. This is the real great supernatural power. The karate of Yamamoto Kazuki is nothing more than an ordinary person's fake style and fancy." Hiroshi Tanaka asked in surprise, "Guild President, do ninjutsu and onmyoji really exist?" Ito Takehiko said indifferently, "Tanaka, ninjutsu and onmyoji are the national martial arts of Japan, especially ninjutsu. Even Westerners are obsessed with it. Why do you still doubt it?" Hiroshi Tanaka said embarrassingly, "My president, I've been to Iga City, the hometown of ninjutsu, several times before, and I have seen ninjutsu performances there. I always feel that ninjutsu is a bit like a combination of acrobatics and magic. Significance. Yuahiko Ito snorted and said with some sarcasm, it's the frog at the bottom of the well. I tell you, true ninjutsu is no different from what is said in the legend, but now there are few true ninjas. Few, most of them are meticulously enshrined by top families. To the big families, they are like nuclear weapons. No family will take the initiative to expose them. Having said that, he sneered and said, some time ago, the sixth generation of Yamaguchi group died inexplicably in his own heavily guarded Hokkaido hot spring palace. Do you know this? Koichi Tanaka nodded immediately. This matter is almost unknown to everyone in Japan. It has been reported on TV that he died of a cerebral hemorrhage. Cerebral hemorrhage? Takehiko Ito coldly snorted, it's just a slander from the outside world. In fact, he died at the hands of a ninjutsu master. At this moment, Tanaka felt that his worldview had been subverted. The 6 generations of the famous Yamaguchi team died at the hands of a ninjutsu master, which is too legendary. However, he did not dare to have any doubts about Ito's words. Because he knows Yuhiko Ito's character very well, this person never says anything that is unsure. If he says that, it must be that he has some special way to confirm that the facts are indeed what he said. Even Koichi Tanaka suspected that there might be a master of ninjutsu in the Ito family. However, he didn't ask much about it. Because he knows that there are some questions he should not ask, and some things he should not know. As the assistant of the Ito family and the confidant of Ito Takehiko, what he has to do is to serve Ito Takehiko well. Do not say a word about what you should ask and what should not be asked. Therefore, he respectfully said to Ito Takehiko, I'm ignorant and ignorant completely. I didn't expect the legendary ninjutsu master to actually exist. Ito Yuhiko nodded gently, and sighed, it's a pity that Mr. Ninjutsu is good at killing people invisible, not good at curing diseases and saving people. Otherwise, Nanako would not have to endure so much pain. After that, he sighed and waved his hand again, don't talk about it, I will arrive at Kobayashi Pharmaceutical later. After signing this contract, it is considered to be a worry for me. You will follow me tomorrow. For a trip to Kyoto, I want to put aside my business and return to Kyoto to accompany Nanako for a few days. Sure, Lord. At this time, Charlie was still on his way to Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. After all, the airport is still a little far away from Kobayashi's, not as convenient as Ito Yuhiko. Therefore, Ito Yuhiko and his party arrived at Kobayashi Pharmaceutical one step ahead of Charlie. In the executive meeting room of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, Masayoshi Kobayashi had already instructed everyone not to mention anything about JX Bison, and first get the money from the Ito family. If after the investment of the Ito family, it is discovered that JX Bison suddenly emerges, then the Kobayashi family will have to unify their slogans. If they ask, they will say that they don't know, and the relationship will be cleaned up so that the Ito family will not be accountable. After all, it's just playing the Ito family. Ito Yuahiko didn't know this. When he stepped into the meeting room, the entire management of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals all stood up and applauded. They all respected him, making him immediately feel that his face was greatly respected. Masayoshi Kobayashi even surrendered the chairmanship of the conference room and said to take Hiko Ito, Chairman Ito, please sit down. Ito nodded in satisfaction, sat down in the chair, and said with a smile, I have always wanted to visit you, but there has never been a suitable opportunity. I see you here today. It is really a talent. Everyone was full of joy when they saw that Ito Yuhiko gave everyone such a high evaluation. At this time, looking at Ito Yuhiko's expression, it was completely like watching a boy who lost money. At this time, Ito Yuhiko said again, I have always been very optimistic about Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals, and I am very willing to support it to go further, so I came here today just to sign an investment agreement with you. Regarding my investment intentions, you should not. What's your opinion? Kobayashi Masayoshi hurriedly said respectfully, Chairman Yaitong, you can rest assured that we have reached a consensus before you come, and you are very welcome to invest in our company. Yuhiko Ito nodded to prevent night-long dreams, and he said directly, well, I have had a lot of things recently, and I am going to leave Tokyo tomorrow, so we simply sign the contract now. If there is no problem, I will immediately notify the finance to arrange money. Kobayashi Masayoshi blurted out, no problem. Absolutely no problem, we can sign a contract immediately. Ito Yuhiko immediately said to Koichi Tanaka next to him, Tanaka, take out the contract and show it to everyone. Koichi Tanaka immediately took out a few contracts and distributed them, introducing, everyone, the investment details are already written in the contract. We valued Kobayashi Pharmaceutical for this investment at $15 billion, and we are planning to invest $4,500 million, holding 30% of the shares. If you don't have any comments, we can sign the contract now, and we can arrange the financial payment immediately after the contract is completed. Everyone accepted the contract, and after reading it carefully, they found that there were no hidden terms and risks, and they all looked at Kobayashi Masayoshi and asked him to directly sign the contract. Kobayashi Masayoshi also wanted to settle this matter quickly, so he immediately signed his name on the contract with a wave of his hand in the name of the acting chairman. After the contract was signed, Ito Yuhiko also immediately notified the finance company and credited $4.5 billion to Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals' account. What is left is that the board members of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical must submit an application to the Commercial Management Department of Tokyo to officially change 30% of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical's shares to the Ito family. After hearing that the $4.5 billion had already arrived, Kobayashi Masayoshi was so excited that he shook hands with Ito Takehiko and said, Mr. Ito, you will be a shareholder of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical from now on. Yuhiko Ito laughed and said, don't worry, I won't interfere with your daily operations. You only need to do well and strive to become the world's top pharmaceutical company, and we will make money together. Kobayashi Masayoshi hurriedly said to the surrounding executives, come, everyone applauds and welcome Mr. Ito to become a shareholder of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Everyone smiled and applauded. At this moment, the door of the conference room was suddenly pushed open. Charlie walked in first with no expression on his face, and said coldly, what is the noise? Everyone immediately looked at Charlie. Everyone couldn't help being dumbfounded. Who is this person? Why have I never seen him before? What are you doing here? Ito Zyuhako didn't expect anyone to come in and spoil the situation at this time, and snorted coldly, "Who are you? Can you break into this place?" Charlie looked at him and said indifferently, "Old master, I am a major shareholder of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Can you say I can break through?" "Joke," Kobayashi said coldly, "you are not from Kobayashi Pharmaceutical at all, so why do you say that you are a major shareholder?" At this moment, Tanaka turned his head to recognize Charlie, and exclaimed, "Mr. Charlie, why are you here?" Seeing that he was here, Charlie snorted and said, "Tanaka, you are really a bit lingering, how can I meet you everywhere?" Ito Yuhako hurriedly asked Tanaka Koichi, "Tanaka, do you know him?" Hiroshi Tanaka hurriedly walked up to Ito Takehiko and whispered, "President, this is Charlie who abolished Mr. Yamamoto Kazuki." Ito Yuhiko couldn't understand why Charlie came here, and Tanaka couldn't understand even more. After all, in his impression, Charlie's identity is just Aoxu's coach, a local master in Oris Hill, but why did he suddenly appear in Tokyo, and also in the meeting room of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical? What is even more confusing is why Charlie said he is a major shareholder of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. At this time, Ito's expression was a bit ugly. On the way he came, he heard Tanaka talk about Charlie. In fact, he was very disdainful of such so-called masters, so he didn't take him to heart. So he observed at Charlie and shouted in a cold voice, "Boy, you must consider the consequences before speaking. You can't afford the price of talking about it." Charlie didn't know Ito Takehiko. Seeing that this man looked like he was about 50 years old, with a big back, his expression and tone were very arrogant, and he suddenly felt a little dissatisfied. He observed at Ito Takehiko, and said coldly, "Don't think you can pretend to be aggressive when you are old, and you will hit me if you get angry." When did Takehiko Ito feel so angry? Even the current Yamaguchi Group's 7th generation me must be respectful when meeting him. In this country, no one dares to talk to him like that. As a result, Takehiko Ito was immediately furious, pointed at the two bodyguards beside him, and shouted angrily, "Teach him a lesson." As soon as the voice fell, the two people who had not moved like a mountain immediately rushed to Charlie. They are all top masters, and different from the competition-type players like Yamamoto Kazuki, they are all real combat players, really hands-on. There may not be any good-looking tricks and postures, but they are absolutely lethal. The two of them let out a low growl, all the strength of their bodies was raised, and they immediately attacked Charlie. Seeing these two people rushing towards Charlie, Tanaka became tense. He was not worried about Charlie, but about the two personal bodyguards of Ito Takehiko. He had seen it with his own eyes at that time, how Charlie used a palm to destroy Yamamoto Kazuki, and Yamamoto Kazuki was a scum without fighting power in front of him. No matter how strong these two bodyguards are, they can't be several times stronger than Kazuki Yamamoto, right? For Charlie, it could be done in just a few palms. At this moment, the two bodyguards had already rushed to Charlie, one on the left and the other on the right, hitting both sides of Charlie's ribs with heavy punches. The ribs on both sides are one of the weakest parts of an adult's body. The ribs are not as hard as a skull, and they are extremely prone to breakage when hit from the side. If the ribs are broken from the side, the broken ribs themselves will also become a sharp blade pierced the victim's body. The ribs protect the most important internal organs. Once a broken rib pierces the internal organs, it is extremely easy to cause severe internal bleeding, which may directly kill the other party. This kind of cruel trick is almost lethal. Charlie couldn't help narrowing his eyes slightly. In ordinary conflicts, very few people come up and use such insidious tricks, either running their faces or running their limbs. Even if they abolish all limbs, they will not kill others. But he didn't expect that these two men would be so insidious that they wanted to kill him if he didn't agree with them. Looking at it this way, don't know how many people have already lost their lives. Moreover, these two people know how to use hands, and it seems that they are also a good practice. So Charlie sneered, and at the moment when the two fists were about to hit his ribs on both sides, he suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed the wrists of the two at extremely fast speed. The two powerful offensive stopped abruptly at this moment. Both of them were frightened by the sudden huge force on their wrists, and found that their fists couldn't move in, and they couldn't retreat. They immediately realized that they had met a master today. The two looked at each other, and they could see the panic in each other's eyes. Afterwards, the two exchanged glances, and at the same time they exerted force, trying to free their right hand from Charlie's hand. But unfortunately, with all their strength, they still couldn't withdraw their right hand even at all. Charlie looked at the two with a smile on his face, and said with interest, "The hands of the two are a bit dark. They attacked others' ribs when they came up. Are you afraid of killing them?" The two were very nervous, and one of them said, "We just want to test your strength, nothing else." Charlie laughed. Such a bad reason can be imagined, and it seems there is really something. Seeing that his two personal bodyguards were completely controlled by Charlie, Ito became nervous and blurted out, "What do you want to do? Do you know who I am? If you mess with me, you will never end well in Japan." Charlie smiled. "The duck has a hard mouth when it dies. You really have your unique opinion." After finishing speaking, he looked at the two bodyguards of Ito Takehiko, and said lightly, "You two remember that all your encounters today are due to your master." The two of them were asking for mercy, and Charlie suddenly twisted his hands, and their right arms were twisted into woven ropes. At this moment, the two cried out in pain, and everyone at the scene paled. What is the identity of Ito Yuhiko? He is the patriarch of Japan's top family. The bodyguard next to him is almost the strongest bodyguard in Japan, but what they didn't expect is that the two people added up are not Charlie's opponent. At this time, Ito Yuhiko was also dumbfounded. He never dreamed that these two bodyguards with rich practical experience and lots of blood on their hands would be abandoned at the same time so easily. In Charlie's eyes, these two people are just a little bit stronger than ordinary people, but they are still far from the level of a master. Even the worst among the 8 heavenly kings can't match. Together, the two can at most be similar to Oliver Vincent. How could such a person be Charlie's opponent? If Yuhiko Ito really finds out the so-called master of ninjutsu in Japan, he might even give Charlie a look. At this time, Takehiko Ito scolded with a little nervousness, "You are an outsider, so you dare to go wild in Tokyo. Are you not afraid that I will not let you return to China?" Charlie smiled and said, "What? Do you still want to keep me in Japan as your son-in-law? Fraudulent! Ito Yuahiko exclaimed. Boy, you are too arrogant. Charlie said with a bit of disdain in his eyes, I have no one in my eyes. I came here today to take over my own company. Instead, you barked at me in my company. What are you? I didn't beat you out. I am already respecting the old and loving the young. Hiroshi Tanaka hurried forward and said respectfully, Mr. Charlie, calm down your anger. This is the head of the ITO family and the chairman of ITO Corporation, Mr. Yuhiko Ito. Ito Yuhiko? Charlie frowned when he heard this, and asked Koichi Tanaka, what is his relationship with Nanako? Hiroshi Tanaka hurriedly said, Mr. Charlie, President Ito, is Miss Nanako's father. Charlie suddenly realized. He actually didn't know much about the Ito family, except for Nanako, he didn't know anyone else. Hearing that the middle-aged Japanese man with a big back head turned out to be Nanako's father, his expression eased slightly. Afterwards, he looked at Ito Takehiko, and said lightly, for the sake of your daughter's face, I won't be familiar with you this time. Since you are not from the Kobayashi family, then you don't need to stay here and take your people and leave. Ito Yuhiko's face was pale with anger. As the patriarch of the dignified Ito family, when did he receive such contempt? Moreover, this young man's tone was extremely proud, as if he was just taking care of his daughter's face, so he didn't care about himself. It was too much. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and said, Boy, why do you say that this is your company? You also said that you are a major shareholder of this company? I tell you that I just signed a contract with the representative chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Officially acquired a 30% stake in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Oh? Charlie said with a smile, which representative chairman has this right to sign a contract with you on behalf of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical? Masayoshi stood up and said, I am the acting chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. All shareholders clearly agreed to Mr. Ito's shareholding in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Why are you an outsider interfering? Besides, you in this company have nothing to do. If you don't leave, I will call the police. Charlie smiled, I have nothing to do with this company. Come here, I will introduce you to an old acquaintance. After that, he clapped his hands and shouted outside the door, Come on, invite Mr. Kobayashi in. Isak and Mr. Orville immediately took Ichiro and walked into the meeting room. When Ichiro entered the meeting room, everyone was stunned in shock. Isn't this Ichiro? Isn't he dead? Yes. Jiro issued a kill order before and ordered his life to avenge the old president. There were a lot of discussions. Ichiro's expression was a bit ugly at this time, and he said coldly, I tell you, you are all deceived by that fraudulent Jiro. I didn't poison my father to death at all, but he was poisoned to death and then blamed on me. In order to monopolize Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, he also spent a lot of money and wanted to take my life. Impossible. Masayoshi said coldly, I know exactly how the president died. You said that you got a magic medicine from China that would make the president stand up again, and the president was excited. He took Jiro and me to the airport to wait. After the medicine was delivered, the president died suddenly after taking the medicine. Do you dare to deny it? Ichiro gritted his teeth and said, I did get the magic drug at the beginning, but Jiro arranged for the magic drug to be dropped. You don't even think about it, why should I kill my father? Masayoshi angrily said, you naturally want to monopolize Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, so that's why you killed the president. Ichiro scolded angrily, your dog's brain is broken. You keep saying that I killed my father to save Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, but you keep your dog's eyes open to see clearly, I am exclusive. After father died, who became the new president of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical? Everyone observed each other when he said this. Ichiro was right. After the death of the old chairman, Masao Kobayashi, it was Ichiro's younger brother, Jiro, who succeeded the chairman. Moreover, Jiro also spent a lot of money to get the head of Ichiro. If this incident was really planned by Ichiro, is he too stupid? Not only did he not get any benefits, he even gave others a wedding gown, and even worse, after others put on the wedding gown, they wanted his life in turn. Thinking of this, everyone suddenly realized that what happened back then might have something else hidden. At this time, Masayoshi's mood is very complicated. First of all, he managed to get rid of Masao Kobayashi and Ichiro, and then missed Jiro and took the position of acting chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Ltd. But in a blink of an eye, Ichiro came back unscathed. Isn't this epic unluck? The good life of CEO working himself is just beginning to end? He was full of resentment, and said angrily, Ichiro, you have left Kobayashi Pharmaceutical for a long time. The current Kobayashi Pharmaceutical has been fully exercised by the shareholders' meeting, and you have not eliminated the murder of your biological father. We will not allow you to take the in charge of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Ichiro was also furious, and he sternly reprimanded, Uncle, you are my elder. I wanted to give you respect. I didn't expect you to be so ignorant of good or bad. I am the real heir of the Kobayashi family, and the entire Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. It was founded by my dad. You just follow part-time jobs and get a high salary. Why do you interfere with our family's property? What are you? Believe it or not, I will let you get out of the company now. You. Masayoshi was scolded bloody, and trembling with anger, cursed, you murderer of the father, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical will never fall into your hands. During this period of time, Ichiro worked hard at Orville's kennel, and he was suffocated. He finally returned to Japan and returned to his own company. He didn't expect that this man would dare to yell at him. He immediately became angry and went up and gave Masayoshi a slap in the face. After working in the kennel for so long, Ichiro's physical fitness has improved a lot. In addition, he is a mature man, and Masayoshi has been slapped with a slap. All the members of the Kobayashi family present were horrified. Ichiro pointed to the bewildered Masayoshi and cursed, dog stuff, I will let you know today. After that, he looked at Charlie and bowed respectfully, Mr. Charlie, please publish the video of Jiro's confession to let them know the truth. Charlie nodded and winked at Mr. Orville. Mr. Orville immediately took out his phone and played the video of Jiro's confession to everyone. In the video, Jiro confessed in tears that his biological father, Masao Kobayashi, was killed by him, and he also admitted that he had spent a lot of money to hire someone to chase and kill his elder brother in an attempt to eliminate the trouble. This completely subverted everyone's understanding of the whole thing. Masayoshi was also panicked. He now realized that Jiro might have been killed by Ichiro, and now this guy is going back to seize power. At this time, Masayoshi was 10,000 unconvinced. It was so hard for him to get to an acting president, just about to take charge of the entire Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. He didn't expect to wake up so soon. So, he gritted his teeth and said, "Ichiro, did you poison the old president? You haven't completely cleared the suspicion of this matter. Even if Jiro recorded this video, it cannot prove that the murderer must be him. Who knows if you kidnapped Jiro and forced him to record this video?" Having said that, he immediately looked at everyone and fanned the flames, and said, "Am I right?" Everyone nodded. Kobayashi found out that he had a mass foundation, so he immediately continued to aggressively say, "This matter must be handed over to the police for investigation. When the police say that Ichiro is no longer suspicious, and then will we hand over the rights of the shareholders meeting. Here you are, before that, you must not interfere with Kobayashi Pharmaceutical in anything." As soon as Ichiro heard this, he ran away. He kicked Masayoshi's abdomen, and yelled, "Masayoshi, you tell me, are you shameless? According to Japanese law, I am the eldest son of the family and I should inherit the family business, and now my brother has also disappeared. I am the only legal heir to my father. The company he founded is naturally inherited by me. You are a hired worker who works in the company. Why are you shouting at me here?" Thinking of the torture he suffered during this period of time, Ichiro was full of evil fire, and now Masayoshi still wants to prevent him from taking over Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. This kind of man-armed car behavior makes him very angry. So, he rushed up angrily to punch and kick at Masayoshi, and yelled, "Don't look, what are you? Have you ever seen a group of servants occupying the house and not letting the owner's son live? Did you come in? How dared to stop me back to Kobayashi Pharmaceutical? I tell you, you are now officially fired by Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, immediately get out of here." Masayoshi was beaten in various ways and grinned in pain. Although his heart was extremely angry, he was really frightened by Ichiro. Ichiro's words sounded rude, but what he said was reasonable and legal. He was originally the first heir of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Even if he was suspected of murdering his biological father and the police convicted him and arrested him in prison, it would not be possible to deprive him of the right to inherit the estate. What Masayoshi said sounds like awe-inspiring justice, but in fact it is a manifestation of not knowing the law at all. Seeing that Masayoshi was beaten up, Charlie said, "Okay, continue the fight. If something happens to him, then you might really go to jail." Ichiro stopped then and said respectfully to Charlie, "I'm sorry, Mr. Charlie, I made you laugh." Charlie nodded slightly and said, "You all listen to me. As the legal heir of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, he has signed an equity transfer agreement with me. From now on, 90% of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical's shares are owned by me. The remaining 10% goes to Ichiro, so now I am the absolute majority shareholder of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical." After that, Charlie waved to Paul, "Come on, Lawyer Paul, take out the copy of the contract and pass it on to them. Everyone at the scene was shocked upon hearing this. Among them, Ito Yuhiko was the most unacceptable. He angrily protested, "Charlie, you don't talk about it here. I just signed a contract with Masayoshi, and used $4.5 billion in cash to buy 30% of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals shares. I alone have 30%, so how can you get 90%? Isn't this a daydream?" Charlie sneered and asked him, "Mr. Ito, right? I ask you, what position is Masayoshi in this company? What right does he have to sign such an agreement with you?" Ito Yuhiko said coldly, "He is the acting president of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Since he is the acting president, he naturally has the right to sign a financing agreement." Charlie said contemptuously, "Should be nonsense here. Who did his generation of president seal it? Did he seal it himself? There is something for him?" The entire shares of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical are owned by Masao Kobayashi. Masao Kobayashi is dead. Ichiro and Jiro's father. Jiro's whereabouts are unknown now, so it's all Ichiro's. Why would Masayoshi make a decision for Ichiro and sell you 30% of the shares? Takehiko Ito angrily picked up the contract signed just now, and angrily scolded, "You can read it clearly. This contract is clearly written in black and white. The Ito family, own 30% of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. And I have already paid for it." "Oh, I'm sorry." Charlie said blankly, "The person who signed this contract with you is not qualified to sign this contract at all, so this contract is invalid. You move yourself, think about it. If I sign an agreement for you and sell you the entire Japanese island, will the entire Japanese island be yours?" After speaking, Charlie took a copy of the equity transfer from Paul and threw it in front of Ito Yuhiko, saying, "Come, see what is written on this. Ichiro has voluntarily incorporated 90% of the shares into JX Pharmaceutical Company in black and white. And you have to figure out one thing, Ichiro is the legal heir of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, so this agreement in my hand is truly and legally valid. As for your share, I'm sorry, but it's just a pile of waste paper. Even if you ask your lawyers and judges, I believe they will not admit that your pile of waste paper has any practical meaning. You are a hooligan." Ito Yuhiko also collapsed. He has been strong for a lifetime, and has never shown weakness in front of the Yamaguchi group, but he did not expect that he would meet a shameless person like Charlie here today. However, he also knows that his two personal bodyguards are now useless, and he is not Charlie's opponent at all. He can't face him head-on, so he can only temporarily avoid his edge, then find a chance to take revenge, and think of other ways to get it. To the shares of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. So, he protested indignantly, "Well, since you said Ichiro is the legal heir, then we step back and say, anyway, I have paid $4.5 billion. If you say that the contract is invalid, then you just return the $4.5 billion to me immediately." Charlie asked in surprise, "Mr. Ito, what did you say? I didn't hear clearly just now." Ito Yuhiko said angrily, "I said you must immediately return to me the $4.5 billion in Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals account." "Refund?" Charlie snorted and said contemptuously, "I'm sorry, Mr. Ito, you may not know something about me. I have always had an iron rule when walking around the rivers and lakes. Don't know if you hear me, or heard about it." Yuhiko Ito gritted his teeth and asked, "What is the iron rule?" Charlie smiled and said, "The iron rule is, never refund. Never refund." When Yuhiko Ito heard this, his shiny big back was almost exploded. He covered his chest and pointed at Charlie and scolded, "You Wade, you keep saying that you have to follow the law, is that how you follow? I reached the account of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical for $4.5 billion, you either give me shares, if you don't give me shares, refund me. Do you still want to rely on my money and not give it to me?" Charlie nodded, and said blankly, "Yes. I just want to rely on your money. When the money goes into my pocket, it's up to me. If you ask me to take it out and give it back to you, I have to pay. Come out and pay you back? I don't want face. You." Ito Yuhiko felt a sharp pain in his heart. He really has never seen such a brazen person in his life. So, he gritted his teeth and scolded, "I still don't believe it. Do you think you can swallow a huge sum of 4.5 billion? Charlie nodded and smiled, "Didn't I already swallow this? And you took the initiative to feed me." Ito Yuhiko almost vomited blood. Charlie said to Isak at this time, "Old man, invite Mr. Ito out." Isak nodded, and immediately brought a few of his men to take Hiko Ito's, and said lightly, "Mr. Ito, you should act yourself, don't force me to move, otherwise you will lie down for a while. Can't get up for 5 months. You dare to threaten me?" Isak smiled and said, Okay. I just threatened you. Master has always had a bad temper. If you don't get out, he might beat you." Yuhiko Ito gritted his teeth tightly, his heart was angry, but he didn't dare to resist here, he could only hold back his anger, and said coldly, "Okay. Very good. Charlie, I want to see who has this ability. Can take my 4.5 billion US dollars. I will never finish this with you." After all, Ito Yuhiko left the meeting room with a black face after holding his hands. Charlie looked at his back and smiled faintly. He had heard that Ito Yuhiko has always wanted to invest in Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, so he wanted to marry his daughter Nanako to Jiro. Thinking of this, Charlie felt a little unhappy in his heart. Nanako is so beautiful and tender as water, she is definitely a standard Yamato not a Shiko. Marry her to Jiro? Ito Yuhiko was afraid that he was blind. In his opinion, Ito Yuhiko and his mother-in-law, Elaine, are not much different. They are people who would rather sacrifice their daughter's happiness and seek benefits for themselves. Therefore, he naturally didn't have a good impression of Ito Yuhiko. This 4.5 billion US dollars thing, it is not bad to give him a bitter taste. Koichi Tanaka came to Charlie at this time and said respectfully, "Mr. Charlie, I'm really sorry about this incident. I didn't expect that you are now a major shareholder of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. If there is anything improper today, please forgive us." As a person who has seen Charlie's strength, Tanaka has full awe of Charlie. Abandoned Yamamoto Kazuki with a palm, and with his hands, Ito Yuhako's bodyguards lost their combat effectiveness. Such a person was incredibly powerful in Tanaka's eyes. Therefore, even if it is now in Japan and even if the Ito family has full influence in Japan, Koichi Tanaka still feels that the Ito family had better not provoke Charlie, otherwise, no one knows what will happen to the entire Ito family. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.